I built a base that got over 200 likes on my building server, and then I thought, what if I gave it to a YouTuber so they could survive in it and give me feedback on my design? Well, YouTuber Eska agreed to my little experiment.
Okay.
Not only did he try out the base, but he also recorded a whole wipe where he defended it against a Chinese cheater clan. And guess what? He actually managed to defend the base and is now editing his new video. Make sure to subscribe to my channel because I'll definitely make a post as soon as the survival video with this base is published. Now, after watching his gameplay, I've pinpointed all the weakest spots in the base, and I've already prepared an improved version for you. At the start, you'll have the most comfortable 2x2 starter base, perfect for a small group with everything you need to get started. The next step adds a second exit, making it harder to get door camped. Later, this area transforms into the starter OpenCore, which you'll use until the base is fully built. And of course, I didn't forget about starter shooting floor. It will be on the 4th floor, giving you a full 360-degree view. All of this comes together in my new 4x4 base with a perfectly structured step-by-step building process. Now let me show you inside. Whoever was waiting has finally got it. This is my first large base and it requires 4 multi-TCs for construction. Each multi-TC is protected against 7 rockets, and I didn't even make them bunker style because these specific multi-TCs are grief-proof. The reason is simple. Even if one of these multi-TCs gets raided, your enemies won't be able to place their TC in that spot. Even if they try to cover everything with ceilings, it won't help them. But you might ask, how do you place your TC back in its original spot? I'll show that a bit later. However, if your main TC is destroyed, you can disconnect all multi-TCs from the base using a simple trick. Overall, this base is designed for online defense, making it both simple and effective for survival. Each gatehouse includes 2 beds and additional shooting angles towards your compound. Blind spots are almost non-existent, and at the same time, it will be very difficult for raiders to hit you through these gaps as you'll be positioned in a safe area. If raiders destroy your high walls during an attack, you will still have full visibility from these angles. As soon as you step into the compound, 2 auto turrets will be locked onto you immediately. And of course, this spot can also be shot at from the shooting floor. Behind the double door, there's another shooting position from below. The low ramp here is placed strategically. It helps level out any terrain differences you might have while building. Additionally, I've placed anti-siege structures in the compound corners. These structures not only give you more peeks both inside and outside the base, but they also provide a space for 2 beds and a large box. This large box can store resources for repairs during a raid. However, the true purpose of these anti-siege structures is to prevent griefing of your multi-TCs. The only thing you need to do to restore control is place a square foundation and put a square ceiling on top. As soon as you do this, the triangle hatch frame will break and you will be able to place your TC back in its original position. To fully grief this base, raiders would have to destroy all 4 multi-TCs outside the compound, and that's not even counting the main TC inside the base. On the sides where I didn't place an entrance to the compound, you'll find another external combat spawn. This section features the same shooting angles and a locker for quick gear changes. Behind the locker, there's a large battery which you can use for turrets or lighting. The base is built with 2-sided symmetry, and everything on the opposite side is exactly the same. These large furnaces will be a real problem for your raiders. Now that I've shown you the entire compound, let's take a look inside the base. Behind the double doors, you'll immediately find 2 shotgun traps and a staircase on the left leading upwards. Following this path, you enter the shell of the base where 4 auto turrets are set up in the corners. For careless raiders, there are 3 shotgun traps in each square ready to punish them. The area here is spacious enough that you could even set up a chicken farm. Maybe, just maybe. On both sides of the shell, you can descend to a lower floor. This is the basement of your base, where you'll have plenty of room for beds, doors, furnaces, and additional control over the first entrance doors of your base. This base has 2 entrances, meaning there are 2 separate angles for covering the entry doors. To maximize convenience, I decided to place the main entrance on the first floor. Here, you'll also find the TC and upkeep is in front of you. If you want, you can enclose it in HQM, but honestly, that's pointless, because you probably won't be storing any valuable loot on the first floor, right? From here, you have peak angles into your starter OpenCore, which is a large, spacious loot room that you'll use until the base is fully built. This area includes 18 large boxes, so there should be plenty of storage space for your early game. Going 1 floor higher, you get a peek at the exit from the shooting floor. And here is your initial starter shooting floor. This entire level is available right from the start, giving you early game defense. From here, you step into the main shell of the base, which provides insane angles for firing inside and outside your base. You can easily defend against raid towers and be fully protected from attacks at long range. Additionally, on this floor, there are 4-sided wide-gap shooting angles, ensuring no blind spots. If an unwanted visitor manages to get here, this turret will make sure to send them a warm greeting. On this level, you're also protected from raid towers, though a little less compared to below. But overall, you'll have even more shooting angles here, which is always a huge advantage. If we go higher, this will lead directly to your open core. Not only will you have a huge number of boxes here, but you'll also be able to control everything happening inside your open core. You will have over 20 boxes for all kinds of resources. Additionally, if necessary, you can oversee the floor above from this spot. The base is fully symmetrical, so if this peak exists on one side, it also exists on the other. Going up further, you'll reach a buffer zone designed to protect your open core, as well as another way up. From here, you can control your roof directly. There will also be 2 beds here, allowing you to respawn on the roof itself. Now, let's check out the roof design. At each corner, I've placed 4 SAM sites, which fit perfectly without getting in the way. Additionally, there are 4 auto turrets, which cannot be destroyed from a minicopter. You'll also find drop-down peaks from all sides, allowing you to quickly drop down if needed. These are present on all sides of the base. At the center, I've included a door peak, but it's not a regular one. Notice how 2 doorways are placed right next to each other? I'll explain how to build this properly during the construction phase. Remember how I showed you the wide gap shooting angles earlier? You have the exact same shooting floor design on the roof. But here, you'll also have 2 beds and a locker, making it a perfect defensive position. Shooting down from here is just flawless. Overall, I think this roof design turned out great, and I love how everything fits together. If you go down but not through the bed entrance and instead take this path, you'll find even more peaks onto the roof. Additionally, you'll also have another extra peak into your open core. As you can see, this base is entirely focused on online defense, multiple entry and exit points, tons of sneaky pathways, and strategic shooting angles everywhere. I really put a lot of effort into this one, so make sure to leave your thoughts in the comments. I just dropped my 27th private base on Patreon today, and this one is absolutely insane. Not only is the TC placed in a completely non-standard location, one that only the owner will know, but the base also has 3 completely different bunkers inside, and only you will know about them. It has huge online defense potential, but it's also a nightmare for offline raiders. Tons of unique shooting angles, plus 6 additional external bunkers that I can't even show you here. And for just $7.50, you get access to this base along with every other piece of content I upload there, which means at least 27 private bases designed for every playstyle. The link to my Patreon is in the description. Subscribe now, you won't regret it. This base is quite different from what I usually build, so I recommend paying close attention while constructing it. The core 2x2 foundation will be made of HQM, while the rest can be sheet metal. I'll be upgrading everything right away to the final version, but you can start with stone if needed. First, we place walls all around the starter 2x2 core. Your entrance will be through a single door. Also note that to the right of the entrance, you'll have a jump up leading to the second floor. Upgrade as much as possible to HQM, but if you don't have enough, use whatever material you can for now. The TC should go in this corner to maximize storage space for loot rooms. Now, let me show you my favorite item placement. Place 4 large boxes next to the TC. To the right, set up your tier 1 workbench. Then, you can place an entire wall of furnaces. To the right of the exit, you'll have storage boxes placed on a ramp. And finally, we place a bunch of sleeping bags. Right now, this is what your starter base looks like from the outside. Now let me show you what it looks like from a player's perspective. This starter base is fully playable for an entire wipe, but let's be real, it doesn't have nearly enough doors. If you suddenly get raided, you can easily turn it into an HQM cube for extra defense. I'll be honest, this base is not cheap, so you can build it on vanilla servers or on modded servers with X2 rates. I want to give a huge thank you to everyone who watches, likes, and comments on my videos. I read every single comment before bed, and it really means a lot to me. Let me know in the comments what kind of bases you'd like to see next. You guys asked for a large base, and I built one for you. But at the end of the day, it's all up to you. Maybe you want a farm guide, but I won't know unless you tell me, right? Also, special thanks to all my Patreon supporters. Because of you, I can keep doing what I love. New videos drop every 2 weeks, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out. Now, we exit through the second entrance of the base and start building our starter open core here. The step-by-step construction of this tower is probably the best part of this base, aside from its insane online defense potential, of course. The key to building this open core is following the correct sequence. If you build it exactly as I do, you won't run into any issues. This ramp ramp is placed for convenience, making it easier to access the lower storage boxes. Now I'm placing triangular floors through the walls, replacing the square floors. This step is important because we'll swap them out for triangle floors later. Don't worry, this works exactly the same in survival mode. Also, don't forget about this shelf. This will be another loot room with 3 large boxes. Once you've finished with the starter OpenCore, the next step is to build an exit to the next floor. Now, we move on to constructing the central tower, which plays a major role in the base's defense. Ideally, you should upgrade everything here to sheet metal if possible. Now let me show you how to organize the loot in the starter OpenCore. You'll have 6 large boxes, and on the right, you can place a tier 2 or tier 3 workbench, doesn't matter which. And now let me show you how to stack 3 boxes on top. It's actually pretty easy, no issues there. On this triangle floor, you can place 3 more boxes, though you might need to jump a bit to do it. Next, we head up to the 4th floor where we place window frames all around, well, almost everywhere. Here we place a double door frame, which will be your starter shooting floor. You'll be using this until the shell is fully built. Now, we also need to build an exit to the next level, but don't rush this step. The exit needs to go to the left, and if you mess this up, it can ruin the entire base. So pay extra attention here. Right now, from the outside, your Terminator base looks like this. Now we exit through the single door on the 1st floor, and here we need to build the basement. It's a simple step, just make sure not to rush it. Train your building skills. You can practice building this base on my Rust Room build servers. They're free and open to everyone. However, if you want queue priority, access to custom biomes, rocket launchers, MLR strikes, and more, then check out my Patreon and grab the VIP subscriber tier. Your VIP status on the server is granted automatically. Well, while I was explaining all this to you, we've almost finished building one side. Here, we need to create an exit to the 2nd floor right away, and don't forget that this will also be the access point to go even higher. So make sure to prepare for the 3rd floor access as well. For upgrades, you can start by upgrading to stone if you don't have enough metal. But later, you absolutely need to upgrade everything to sheet metal, and basically we've completed one side. The only thing left is to add more doors at the bottom. Right now, we only have a few doors leading to the main TC, but once you install more, this section will be much safer. Now, we move to the opposite side and repeat the exact same process. Since the base is symmetrical, nothing changes there. Now we have an empty space left. Here we place 2 window frames. At the bottom right, you'll place 2 shotgun traps. Notice that I have them set up on black electrical branches, which allows them to shoot over the ledge. These shotgun traps can become a serious problem for careless raiders. On the left side, we will have the stairway to the 2nd floor. Once you get garage doors, you must install them at every stairway. Don't forget that. Also, keep in mind that the entrance to the shell will be accessible from all 4 sides. This is done to improve mobility inside your base. Mobility is extremely important during online defense. Also, don't forget about the triangle hatch frame openings. They are needed to improve stability. Now we jump down, place a double door frame, and add 2 ceiling. And with that, this side is complete. On the opposite side, we do the exact same thing. At this stage, the base is already well secured on the 1st floor. Now we need to go up to our future shell, and this part is very important to build correctly. This is exactly where raiders will be running during the raid, while you can shoot at them effortlessly from multiple shooting positions. But for this to be possible, we need to build everything correctly first. Notice that I placed 2 half walls above and then placed the ceiling on top of them. Next, I install frames for double doors, and on top of these frames, I place window frames. On the opposite side, it's basically the same, so I'll speed this part up a bit. I hope everything is clear. If you have any questions, make sure to write in the comments. Let me know if you prefer this sped up style when both sides are identical. I listen to your feedback, and if needed, I can easily change this aspect in my videos. Once you're done with that, we now need to go up to the 3rd floor. Here, we need to build another stairway, but this time leading to the 4th floor. It's pretty easy to do, and this is where your large battery will be placed. That means if you manage to get a turret from military tunnels, you can already start placing them. I recommend placing your first turrets inside the shell we're building now, because this is where most of the raid action will take place. On this floor, we also need to create an exit toward the shell. Don't forget about the doorway leading outside, which will later connect to your wide gap shooting floor. It's crucial to place these triangle floors from the main tower, not from the staircase we just built. This ensures that these ceilings won't collapse due to stability loss during a raid. If you do it the other way around, they will break, so it's best to follow the build order exactly as I show in the video. When it comes to placing doors, it's up to you. You can place them or leave them open, but if you have extra resources, why not add them for extra security? Also, if you have any questions about this base or any other base from my channel, feel free to join my Discord server. The link is in the pinned comment. I'm gradually gathering a team of helpers who can answer all your questions about base building. As you've probably guessed, on the opposite side, we do exactly the same thing. There's nothing complicated about it, especially when you have a detailed guide like this. But if you still have any difficulties, you know where to ask for help. Now, in this section, we need to do almost the same thing as before, but with a few changes. Just like on the other sides, you can place a large battery behind the single door, or you can place a locker for a quick respawn loadout. During a raid, every second counts. Also, don't forget to create the exit for the future wide gap shooting floor, as well as a preparation for an additional stairway going up. I also mentioned that one side of the base is slightly different. The main difference is in these square floors. They are placed to create a safe zone inside the shell. On the opposite side, we repeat the exact same process. These square floors allow you to run inside the shell, heal up, reload, and get back into the fight. Now we move straight into building your compound. The first step is constructing the wide gap shooting floor. The build process is super easy. Just make sure to follow exactly what I do. I highly recommend upgrading the foundation to sheet metal right away to prevent it from being soft-sided. Also, don't forget about the ramp in the center. It will level out all the height differences you might have here. Now we need to build the gatehouse, but there's one very important detail. Pay attention, this spot must have 2 half walls. This is necessary to make your multi-TC disconnectable. On the left and right, you'll have peaks both inside and outside the compound. These don't provide any real protection, so you can build them out of stone. The only exception is the foundations, which should ideally remain metal. Also, don't forget the grates in the center. These will protect your turrets. The turret itself should be placed right in the center behind the half wall, and to make it harder to destroy, we cover it with 3 triangle roofs. Now, we place 2 twig floors and, without any issues, set up a metal barricade. Since this structure isn't connected to the main base, we must build the multi-TC right now. This will be a very simple multi-TC, capable of withstanding 7 rockets. There's no point in making a bunker here because this base uses an anti-siege system. Also, don't forget about these 2 triangle frames. They're essential. That's pretty much it. Now, we connect the gatehouse to the multi-TC and check if it disconnects properly. Next, we repeat this process on all sides. As you can see, I've built both the right and left gatehouses, and everything is exactly the same, except for one key detail. Instead of a door frame, you should place a wall, because these spots will have external combat spawns facing each other. Now we move on to building the anti-siege system. It's incredibly simple, just follow my steps exactly. Here, you'll have 2 beds for a fast respawn during a raid, as well as window frames that allow you to shoot both inside and outside the compound. If you don't need that many external combat spawns, you can also use this anti-siege structure as a refinery spot. Just an option if you need it. Keep in mind that this anti-siege structure will decay until you do exactly what I show you, but once you place this frame, it will be fully connected. If you need to disconnect the anti-siege in case your multi-TC gets raided, just place a square roof at this spot. Now, around these window frames, we need to repeat everything we did on the gatehouses, placing half walls, ledges, ceilings, and then adding framed grates. However, unlike the gatehouse grates, these won't protect your turret. Instead, they will prevent enemies from quickly jumping into your compound if your external walls get destroyed. The final step is placing 2 barbed wire fences. Once that's done, your first side is fully complete. Now you just need to repeat the exact same process on the remaining 3 sides. Once that's done, your compound is practically finished. Now you need to show how to place the walls, as they are placed in a rather unconventional way. First, place a large furnace as tightly as possible into this indentation. Then, disconnect your multi-TC in this way. This step is necessary so that we can fit a high wooden wall or stone wall in this spot. Now we just need to repeat this process on all sides. Once done, you'll have a fully completed compound with 8 large furnaces, allowing you to smelt metal quickly and finish upgrading your base efficiently. Now, for the sides where there is no entrance to the base, we begin building the shooting floor. The hardest part, dealing with the foundations, is already done. Now all that's left is raising the frames to the correct height. The correct height is 4 floors up. Here we place a ceiling, then add 3 half walls around the edge of this ceiling. On these half walls we place window frames. Now we place a square roof in this spot. Then we cover everything with another ceiling. At this moment our window frames are completely unprotected, so we need to turn them into protected peak downs. This process is actually super simple, and I'm using fly mode so you can clearly see what I'm placing and where. On the opposite side, we repeat the exact same process. Now you have a wide gap shooting floor on 2 sides of the base, but we need it on all 4 sides. Next, we move to the side with the base entrances at the bottom. Here, we also start building the shooting floor, but it is built slightly differently, so I'm showing it separately. The only difference is 2 half walls at the bottom. These are necessary so that you can place a ceiling on them, which creates a comfortable peak using the ramp, and that's the only difference. Also, I'd like to remind you that I have my own Discord server. At this point, it's a fairly large community of base builders, so if you're truly interested in Rust base building, be sure to join us. There, you'll find like-minded players, and I also hang out there sometimes. Not often, but when I do, it's worth it. For example, I don't usually enjoy building large bases, but as you can see, this is considered a large base. And we actually designed this base together with my subscribers. Special thanks to Kyoto, appreciate your help. So, as you've probably figured out by now, we're doing the same thing on the other side. Now we climb to the very top of our base, head to this spot, and start building. There's nothing complicated here either, but we need to create an exit to the 5th floor, or whatever floor we're on now, maybe the 6th. Here's also a spot for an additional battery. If you ever need multiple batteries in this base, this placement is intentional. This is so you don't power all turrets from a single battery. Otherwise, if one battery gets destroyed during a raid, all your turrets will shut off, and I don't want that happening to you. And as expected, we repeat the same steps on the other side. Now we move on to building the open core. First, we place half walls and ceilings in the center. This window frame will serve as your peak into the open core. There will be 2 entrances to it and 2 window peaks inside, positioned symmetrically opposite each other. Now in this area, we need to set up large loot rooms and make sure not to forget the extra ceilings above them. These are necessary so that your loot is protected by at least 2 layers of ceilings. I decided to build the open core without ramps, and I have a few reasons for this. First, they completely ruin offline protection for the base. Second, they are basically useless now. Not only can raiders take control of the upper floors and shoot down at you, but they can also fire rockets straight through them, making them a bad choice. That's my reasoning. So we've built one side of the open core, and now we repeat the exact same process on the other side. This time, I'm doing it a bit faster because I know you guys are smart and already learned from the first side. Now we place full walls in these spots. Also take note that we're placing ceilings in 2 layers. This ensures that our open core doesn't get taken down in one wall breach. A turret should be placed in the open core instead of 2 loot boxes. If you need help with turret placement, check out the base tour, where I show their exact positions. Now let's move forward. Behind these walls, we have the open core. Our next step is to reinforce the side walls of the open core properly. Here, we place full walls, ceilings, and on the half wall below, we also place full walls. This spot will be another stairway going up. On the opposite side, we also need to add extra buffer rooms, but keep in mind that there won't be a stairway here. Instead, you'll have a peek through a single door leading to the floor above. Once we finish this part, we move to the central section, where we need to build another stairway going higher. Make sure to place doors everywhere possible, as this is a very important part of the base. After all, you'll be spending most of your time here. Once that's done, we move up and continue building. In the center, we place 3 full walls, and in this spot, we add another window frame. This will serve as your peak onto the roof. Right now, we're building the buffer zone that protects your open core. Here, we place window frames, and don't forget to install horizontal embrasures later. If on this side you have a stairway going down, then on the opposite side there won't be a stairway. However, you still need to place window frames here because these shooting angles will be used once we start utilizing the roof. Since there won't be a shooting position in this area, we simply place a half wall and seal it off with a double door. That's pretty much it. Now, we go to the opposite side and repeat the exact same process. You got this. I believe in you. Once you've finished, we can move on to the next stage. Now take a look. We've built both the left and right sides. Now we also need to build another stairway going even higher from this side. It's a very simple process and it's almost impossible to mess up. Just don't forget about the ledge in the center, it's essential. Place doors as needed depending on your available resources. Now we run to the opposite side where I'll repeat the process at a faster pace. Next, take a look. You see that one unfinished exit? That's exactly what we're going to finish right now. You also need to place a low ledge in the middle. Don't forget about that. This is where your combat spawn will be, with 2 beds. Important note, if you place 2 beds here like I did, make sure to seal the window frames with glass so your beds can't be easily destroyed. Now we repeat the same steps on the other side. Next, we move on to our wide gap shooting floor. Here, we need to stack frames up to 3 floors high. Pay attention, I'm placing a lot of them and that's necessary for stability. Also, don't forget to add 3 half walls in the middle. This is important because later we'll use them to build a protect peak on top. This protect peak is crucial. It stops enemies from easily countering you from a raid tower. Since this will be one of your main combat spawns, you absolutely need to reinforce this area. Look at this, even found a good spot for a locker. Make sure to place doors properly so there are no gaps in your combat spawn. The reason we placed that low ledge earlier was to remove any gaps. gaps. And to make the shooting gap smaller, you need to place a triangle hatch frame below this spot. Once that's done, congrats, you've finished your combat spawn. Now we need to build a turret platform above it. This turret is extremely well protected from minicopter rockets. Honestly, I think this is the best way to place a roof turret right now. So if you can build turrets like this in your base, do it. They're OP. Now we just add window frames to the left and right, and that's it. You've completed one side. But we still have 3 more sides where we need to build the exact same thing. Once you've got one side done, the others will be no problem. Now let's focus on this corner. First we place door frames at the bottom for stability. Then we add a triangular frame on top of them. Next we place half walls on the left and right sides of this spot. This will give you a full peek down and drop down. Make sure to build it so you can quickly get down from the roof. In the center, we'll have a door peak, but not just any door peak. This one is a bit different. Let me explain. First, we need to close off this area using triangular roofs so we can finish up this part. Then place a single door frame on both sides. The higher your ping, the easier this will be to place. My ping is 38 and I managed to do it solo. But if needed, you can call in a teammate and try placing it together. Some people say it's even easier that way, but I just showed you a solo method that works. Most importantly, understand the main point. Frames need to be installed almost simultaneously. And now I want to give a special shout out to my OP subscriber who's been supporting me a lot. Also, huge thanks to everyone supporting me on Patreon. Because of you, I can keep doing what I love. Make sure to subscribe, drop a like, and check out my other videos. Now I'm off to design a new base.